In 1956, Don Newcombe won 27 games for the Brooklyn Dodgers. As a result, he not only won the National League MVP award, he was also given the first ever Cy Young Award. While the first 11 Cy Young Awards were simply given to the best pitcher in all of Major League Baseball, in 1967 they started giving the award to the best pitcher in each league. The award was named in honor of Denton True Young, called Cy Young for short due to his nickname Cyclone. They called him the Cyclone because of all the fences that he destroyed with his fastball. This was back in the 1800s when apparently people just repeatedly threw baseballs against wooden fences. It's no wonder why they named the award after Cy Young, seeing that he's still the all-time leader in both wins and WAR among pitchers. Now, since Cy Young pitched in MLB from 1890 to 1911, he obviously wasn't eligible to win his own award that would be created 45 years after he retired. But just for fun, let's go back and try to figure out how many Cy Young Awards Cy Young could have won if such an award existed back then. Back in the day, pitchers were evaluated mostly on basic stats like wins, ERA, and strikeouts, with wins being the most important. For this video, I'm going to look at all the numbers and I'm going to simply go off of who I would personally vote for if the award were given out today. Now, Cy Young pitched in 22 seasons, so let's try to narrow this down a bit. Let's start off with our first tier of seasons, which are seasons we can throw out right off the bat. Young's first season in 1890 and his final 2 seasons in 1910 and 1911, he simply didn't pitch in enough games to even be in consideration. From there, we can jump to our second tier. Here we have 1891, 97, and 98, as well as 1906, 07, and 09. These are 6 seasons where Young did pitch a full season, pitched very well, and usually placed top 5 or 10 in a lot of categories, but probably would not be considered for the best pitcher of the year. And our next tier is where things start to get interesting. These are 7 seasons where I think Cy Young is probably a top 3 or 4 pitcher in the league, probably picks up some Cy Young Award votes, and possibly even finishes 2nd or 3rd in voting, but ultimately falls short. I'm going to quickly highlight a couple of these seasons. 1893 is a really interesting year. Young posted 33 wins with a 3.36 ERA. He finished 2nd or 3rd in most major categories. However, his 422 innings pitched and 42 complete games that year were only good enough for 3rd place, behind future Hall of Famers Amos Rusi and Kid Nichols. I think Amos Rusi probably wins the award, but it's a really close call, and I have Cy Young finishing in 2nd or 3rd this year. The 1900 season is another one worth taking a look at. In 1900, Young pitched for the first ever St. Louis Cardinals team in the year they changed their name from the Perfectos to the Cardinals. The problem with this year is that there's no real clear winner. The top 4 pitchers in ERA that year didn't even finish in the top 10 in either wins or innings pitched. There's a few guys you could make a case for, but 1900 is just a weird year where I could see the voting going in a lot of different ways. Now, let's jump to our 4th tier, where I would personally vote for Cy Young as the best pitcher of the year, but it's not a slam dunk case, and I could see some voters going with someone else. First, we have 1895, which is probably a 3-horse race between Young, Pink Holly, and again, Hall of Famer Kid Nichols. This one is probably the most debatable of all the seasons that I put here in this 4th tier. Holly started 10 more games than Young with just a slightly better ERA. Nichols had more innings and complete games than Young with a slightly better strikeout to walk ratio. Young, however, seems like he's got the slight overall edge as he led the league in wins, shutouts, WHIP, WAR, adjusted runs, and adjusted wins. Next up, we have the very next season in 1896. This one is probably a 3-horse race between Young, Young's teammate George Cuppy, and you guessed it, Kid Nichols once again. Cuppy and Nichols both slightly beat out Young in ERA and ERA+. Cuppy slightly leads Young in WHIP, and Nichols had 2 more wins than Young. But Young just barely trails these guys in those rate stats while also pitching a lot more innings. This is a close one, but again, I'd give the edge to Cy Young. Next up in Tier 4, we have 1902. In this season, Hall of Famer Rube Waddell probably comes in 2nd place. Waddell just barely edged out Cy Young in these rate stats like ERA, ERA+, WHIP, and strikeout to walk ratio, but he didn't even finish in the top 10 in innings, complete games, or shutouts. And Young pitched 108 more innings than Waddell. So given the large difference in volume, Waddell's slight edge in the other stats don't push him over the top in my opinion. So the award goes to Cy Young, who led the league in wins, innings, complete games, WAR, adjusted runs, and adjusted wins once again. Then our last season in Tier 4 is 1903. This season is a bit more of a clear-cut win for Young than the others. He led the league in wins, innings, complete games, shutouts, strikeout to walk ratio, adjusted runs, and adjusted wins. We do have a few other pitchers who could be considered for the award this year. Earl Moore led the league in ERA and ERA+. Bill Dineen put together another great season, and once again, Rube Waddell is a candidate as he led the league in WAR, but Young is superior basically everywhere else. The only reason I'm not calling this one a slam dunk is because Young only finished second in ERA and only sixth in WAR. And lastly, let's take a look at our final tier. These are the seasons when Cy Young easily wins the award, and it's really not even that close in my opinion. In this tier we have 1892 and 1901. In both of these seasons, Young led the league in wins, shutouts, ERA, ERA+, WHIP, WAR, adjusted runs, and adjusted wins. These were also Young's two best seasons of his career in terms of total WAR and adjusted wins. 1892 was Young's second full season at age 25. His 13.9 WAR this season was a career high. And as a side note, this was the final season in MLB with the old pitching distance, before they scooted it back to 60 feet 6 inches in 1893. And 1901 was Young's first season in the newly established American League, playing for the Boston Americans. Young's 2.19 ERA+ this year was a career high, and Young also led the league in strikeouts, meaning he won the Triple Crown of pitching that season. The only real argument you could make for anyone else in either of these seasons is for a pitcher named Bill Hutchison in 1892. He tied Young for the league lead in wins that year with 36, while pitching an insane 622 innings, a full 169 more innings than Young. He started 70 games that year for the Chicago Colts, so it appears they were essentially going with a two-man rotation. Hutchison's 622 innings in 1892 would actually be the last time anyone would throw 500 innings in a single season in Major League history. But even though he pitched this ridiculous amount of innings, Young still beats him by a very large margin in stats like adjusted runs, adjusted wins, and WAR. And Cy Young led the pack by so much in most of these categories that I think it's pretty clearly Young's award. So, in summary, I have Cy Young winning the award in a close race 4 times, and I have him running away with the award 2 more times, giving him a total of 6 Cy Young awards for his career. And this goes along with 7 more seasons where he probably finished top 3 or 4 in voting. So it turns out, the Cy Young Award is named after Cy Young for a pretty good reason. If you made it this far, do me a favor and hit the like and subscribe buttons. It does help me out a lot. Thanks for watching.